Convo finally for Oak Ridge Ford in London, Ontario. OakRidgeFord.com. It is Sunday, April 3rd, 2022. The Leafs have won 4 in a row. They just beat the Fly Guys 6-3. The Leafs back into the top 3 in the Atlantic All-World when it comes to scoring goals. Austin Matthews, 51 goals. You've got Mitch Marner with 53 assists. These guys top 5 in terms of points per game. It's pretty incredible, yet this is the Leafs Convo, and what we traditionally do is poo-poo on all of the positivity. So, Mike, I'll let you get started with it.
Well, okay, I'm not going to, as you say, poo-poo it, but I try to put things in perspective and where and we've said this, throughout the 68 games of this regular season. It's almost all of it's meaningless until they get to the playoffs.
Mm-hmm.
Can they score? Can they score consistently and effectively when things tighten up? Now, usually every season around this time, things tighten up. And so far, they really haven't. Now, there are some people I listen to, the 32 Thoughts podcast with Elliot Friedman and Jeff Merrick, and they've rightly said that, well, this could be an outlier where there's not a lot of time with practice. There's not a lot of time in between games because of, the COVID cancel or postponements, and the schedule is tight. And that might mean that offense will reign in this playoffs, that it won't be a typical, playing 2-1, 3-2 games. It could be 5-4, 7-6. And in those types of games, the Leafs have an opportunity because of their excellent offense to be able to win those games. Prove that to me, because every year we see it tighten up, it get physical in the playoffs. And right now, the Leafs have won 4 games in a row. But again on Saturday, they play a bottom-dwelling opponent, and for 2 periods, they were playing down to their level. Only in the third period did they take advantage of a shorthanded goal, power play goal, a great play by Marner. They were able to pull away,
Mm-hmm.
but and during the week they beat. They beat good teams,
Right.
but they really have to work on, and this is late in the season, have to work on taking advantage of the points that they can easily make against teams that are not so good. They beat Florida, they beat Boston, they beat Winnipeg. Those are 3 quality victories. They do beat Philadelphia, but remember, this is a team that lost twice to Buffalo, lost twice to Montreal, and lost twice to Arizona. I can't look past that, and I don't know what this team is, and we'll see what they are in early May.
24 goals in the last 4 games. So the Leafs and offense, they are synonymous. We expect the Leafs to score lights out, and they will through 82 games. Can they, when they have an opportunity to clinch something in the playoffs? That's a major question. They weren't able to do that against Montreal. They weren't able to get the big goals against Columbus. I mean, save for, one that extended the game. I think it was in the game 5. Boston, year after year, they can't seem to get the big goals. It's an interesting theory, this idea that, well, offense will reign supreme because of the compacted schedule and nobody's going to be able to get their shit together defensively. I mean, like, are we just throwing that out in order to soften the blow, or just kind of widen the potential expectations and possibilities of a Maple Leafs team that is so heavily skewed at one end of the ice and leaves a lot to be desired, throughout other parts of the ice and in terms of the overall game. And the interesting thing is, it's not like the Leafs are exposed in net or exposed on defense. It's just that they, with injury and some inconsistent play, there were just a lot of question marks. And the thing is, it's indicated game in and game out. The Leafs score gangbusters and they give up a lot of goals. They have brain farts, brain cramps at the wrong time. They play down to their competition, just eke out games. Sometimes they're not even there, but they score enough to
Cover up their mistakes.
Cover up a lot of the blemishes that we're expecting to be detrimental to the process and the end goal when they get to the playoffs. Remains to be seen if what we're saying will ultimately bear out again. But based on recent history and this team's pedigree, it's hard for us in this circumstance, even with all the goals and everything that Matthews is doing and where this team is in the standings, to say this will be the year.
Well, I'm always interested in getting an outside perspective because sometimes you can fall into the same opinion that you have because of just be you're observing the same thing and you
Right.
just so Russ and Anthony, my compatriots from the Off the Post podcast, they cover the Flyers and they were at the game last night, and I asked them what their opinion of the Leafs and how they're playing. And obviously they say they're a plus offensive team, and Matthews and Marner, they're fantastic. But they pointed out a couple things, and one of the things is that this team obviously relies on a transition game, relies on their defense playing with pace and carrying the puck into the zone and puck possession, and that they don't know whether that is something that is translatable to the playoffs. Because if you turn it over, then basically you're going the other way with an odd man break. And that's something like, if you're a team that's playing structured defense like Tampa does, like Boston does, you're not going to have as many scoring chances, but you're also not going to have as many mistakes. And in the playoffs, the mistakes are what kills you. Now, the other thing was, and for people to watch that game, the Leafs, they took a 4-2 lead in the third period. I think it was on the Engvall shorthanded goal. And then Philadelphia comes right back and gets a goal to make it 4-3. The Leafs get a 3-on-1 break. And as they have over the last few weeks with 2-on-0 breaks with Marner and Matthews, they overpass the puck. They don't really get a good scoring chance on a golden opportunity. And in the playoffs, you have to take advantage of those golden opportunities or you are going to get killed. Now, 20, 30 seconds later, after they botch that play, Riley scores to make it 5-3 and the game is over with. In the playoffs, you're not guaranteed to get that second opportunity. And more than likely, you're going to have the team going the other way on an odd man break. That is a concern that I have with this team, seizing on their opportunities, not overpassing it, shoot the damn puck, get the opportunity to score. And if you do, then you have an opportunity to put that team away. And in the playoffs, you cannot miss that opportunity.
This is the Convo for Oak Ridge Ford in London, Ontario, oakridgeford.com. Get at me for all of your vehicle needs. At Norm at Oak Ridge Ford on Instagram. That's a really good place to see what I'm up to. You can direct message me. We can talk about trucks, cars, SUVs, hybrid, electric. We appreciate Oak Ridge Ford and their connection to the podcast as we wind things down. It means a lot to us to have this sort of support. Mark Stevens, Scott Story, thank you very much, gentlemen. OG's Conference, I know you wanted to be a part of this project this morning. It's one of those things, right? Life gets in the way sometimes, and life's a lot more important than a podcast. Lo and behold, we are here. Brad Tyndall. Yes, sir. Dreams do come true. GB, I see you. Wasaga George is here. J.A. Scott. Mike, happy belated birthday. Amazing. OG's Conference, a little known fact, Mike Augello was born the same year Jimmy Page was.
Yeah, okay. No,
you can look it up.
Jimmy Page was in the Yardbirds when I was born, so there you go.
It's amazing. Mike, the thing with the Leafs is it's frenetic. It's ambitious. It's lively and entertaining. But who's going to settle this bloody thing down?
I don't know. And see, that's the thing. It's like, I mean, you have a dynamic here where there is a belief with this organization that what they're doing and how they're doing it will prove to be the right way in the end. And they're sort of flying in the face of conventional wisdom. And I don't know. Like, I go with conventional wisdom because conventional wisdom is what, history repeats itself. You know,
Mhm.
teams that are physical and that have enough offense, enough special teams, enough defense, good goaltending, they're the ones who win in the playoffs. Teams that are missing any of those aspects are the ones that fall short. And you look at Tampa Bay, you look at Chicago back in the day, you look at the LA Kings, you look at Pittsburgh. All those teams had, in greater or lesser extent, all those factors that led to
Right.
them being Stanley Cup champions. I mean, this team is a really good offensive team. They're two lines deep. They have a third line that's very effective. Their defense compared to the way it was 3 years ago is leaps and bounds better. It's like, if you
Right.
said 3 years ago that you were going to have Muzzin, Giordano, Brody, and Riley, you'd say, okay, you're gonna win with that.
Right.
And goaltending is the big question mark. Jack Campbell came back yesterday, played pretty decently, but now Peter Mrazek is out for the rest of the regular season and maybe the first round of the playoffs with a groin injury. And if anything happens to Jack Campbell, everything falls on the shoulders of an unproven Eric Shalgren. So, I guess you can say you can never cover every eventuality, but in the East right now, you're going to have 4 really good teams lose in the first round.
Right.
You've got Tampa, Florida, Boston, Toronto, Pittsburgh, Washington, the New York Rangers, and Carolina. Okay, 4 of those teams are going to be out in the first round. Can you say that's disgraceful if a team loses in the first round when those 8 teams are there? I mean, yeah, maybe you can, but I think that might be a little unreasonable. But the difference here is the Leafs have never made it past the first round in this particular era with Matthews and Marner and Nylander, and they haven't made it past the first round in 18 years. At a certain point, that patience is going to run out. In fact, I think there's a lot of people in Leaf Nation that their patience is already run out. But there's no guarantee that if they lose in the first round, that there's going to be any kind of price paid by the current management and coaching group.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it's up to the players to get past that threshold,
right?
Get past the first round, and we will see over the remaining 14 games of the regular season whether they can position themselves to be, to have a better opportunity to advance instead of being an underdog and being the team that is playing Game 7 on the road.
Yeah, I'm listening to you talk, Mike, and we could take snippets from each one of these shows and put them back to back to back, do a full show, and it's just us repeating ourselves, right? And it's not like we're the only ones who think this way.
Mm-hmm.
We may be in the minority amongst those who will actually say what we feel, and we're not just banging the drum all day, even though this project is called the Leafs Convo, and in essence, it's a drum banging exercise for the team that we love and loathe so much. It's a ride or die with this group, Mike, and the Leafs. It's funny, we talk about how they can score. Ironically, they weren't able to score when they really needed to in that playoff against Montreal. Had they would have been through to the second round, and the conversation today may have been a whole lot different. They could have gone on a run.
Well,
and we wouldn't have had this anxiety every time we talk about this team, and we're pointing out the deficiencies that we believe need to be rectified or overhauled in order for this team to do anything legitimately in the playoffs. Mike, I don't want to go too long today. There's a lot of stuff going on. But I know you want to talk. There's a couple things I want to add here. So Austin Matthews, 51 goals.
Mm-hmm.
It's remarkable. He's in his 6th season with the Maple Leafs.
Yeah.
There is a potential here that this guy will win a cup with another team. And when you look back on his career, when he's in Toronto, being inducted into the Hall of Fame, part of that speech will be, thanks Toronto for the amazing 8 years, first 8 years of my career, getting to 50, scoring all those goals. It was a slice, but I went somewhere else to get it done. I'm not saying that's going to happen, but he's in year 6 and they haven't won a playoff round. There's no playoff success to speak of. Time is times are going on, my friend.
Yeah,
Time doesn't reverse; it goes forward, and time's a wasting in a lot of ways.
I'm not as concerned about this, not just simply because it was mentioned. His future was mentioned in Elliot Friedman's 32
And
Thoughts.
I'm not saying he's leaving the Leafs, but
No,
I'm
no, no,
saying that
I
time has
know,
gone on. Right?
I
It's
know,
6 years in.
but Friedman in this week's column said, Matthews likes Toronto,
Sure.
likes the spotlight, likes the fact that he can tune out the noise, and that hockey is extremely important in Toronto. And he likes all those aspects. And the only thing that he sees as a potential deal breaker is if all of a sudden he doesn't like the direction of where the team is going, and if they all of a sudden are not a playoff team and not a contender, then obviously he's going to go to greener pastures. Honestly, I'm not concerned about it right
I'm
now.
not. I'm not saying he's I'm just saying it's been 6 years. Like,
Yeah,
it's time to win a playoff round, because guess what? That's 6 years he won't get back in his career if he plays
right.
15, 16, 17 years. He's played, a third of his career so far, and
And
there's no playoff success to speak of, and we're still concerned and skeptical that there's going to be playoff success in this his sixth year. It's
and
not so much his leaving. He may leave, he may stay. If he stays 20 years and doesn't win a playoff round, again, we're taking a generational talent, one of the great scorers in ever,
and
and
look
not
and
able to capitalize on it.
look at
That's
his
what I'm
peer,
saying.
but look at his peers.
Right.
Connor McDavid has won one playoff series.
That's Connor
Yeah,
McDavid, and Edmonton's a
no,
shit
I know,
show.
but I'm comparing them. Connor
Okay.
McDavid lost to Chicago in the bubble, lost to Winnipeg last year. They won one round, and then they lost to Anaheim a few years back. Okay, Jack Eichel, who was drafted the year before Matthews, he has never played. He'll play in his first playoffs if Vegas makes it this year. He has never played a playoff game.
It
Matthews,
doesn't really make it acceptable, though, Mike.
no, but what I'm saying,
Pat Kane took him 4 years,
well,
and he won 3 cups with
but
the Hawks.
what I'm saying is that Matthews, compared to his peers, is fortunate in the sense that he's had cracks, he's had opportunities. It's just the team around him has not been capable of advancing for one reason or another. I'm saying, and Ovechkin took a long time
Right.
to win
Okay.
a cup. So I mean, I grant you that the concern is this team can't advance past the first round, but he is getting to the playoffs, and eventually, I'm sure people are thinking they're going to advance. Will that be when Matthews is locked up for 8 more years? I mean, because that's probably what's going to end up happening. He signed a 5-year deal when he was age 21, so he'll be 26 or 27 when he signs his next deal, and more than likely it's going to be an 8-year max deal with the Leafs, or a 7-year deal someplace else. I mean, we don't know. We can't speculate on that. All I know is that after reading that, under the table, it sounds like he wants to stay in Toronto.
Sure.
If the team is a contender, if the team is following a positive course, I'm not as concerned about it. But what is overriding here is win a damn series.
Well, you win a series. I wouldn't say all bets are off, but that is a huge obstacle that needs overcoming. Akinzeki, think back to the Yzerman years,
Yeah.
how much he saw. I understand. And then Ovechkin, 10 years with Saga George, took him a decade to win a cup in DC. Someone brought up Stevie Stamkos, too. We all know the Leafs are on their own trajectory, right? The Leafs haven't won a Stanley Cup since 1967. Washington finally won a cup. Tampa won its first cup since 2004 or whatever it was. So these these players with other organizations are in a better position to win, just historically, than Austin Matthews. What I'm saying is this is great. The 51 goals, elevating his own stature and entering the annals of greatness with the Maple Leafs to an extent that few have, and the Leafs have had so many players over their illustrious history. But I mean, it's year 6, and then if they don't make if they make the playoffs and win a round, or even don't win a round, and then it's year 7, and then he's putting up all these points, and it would be nice to to have the entire plan bear fruit while this guy is running at peak.
Well,
And I mean, that's the whole point. You bring in top players so they can drag you through, and you can add to the the movement and the momentum.
but
Austin Matthews has done everything that was expected of him, and then some.
but
It's just the rest of the stuff, as you've pointed out, Mike.
But unlike, because we know, because we're fans of all sports, if you have a dominating player like a LeBron James in basketball, you need two or three great players to be able to win in the NBA.
Right.
You need two or three really great sluggers and maybe a starting pitcher who can shut a team down in baseball. In football, if you have the quarterback, that's half the battle. You can have a great player in hockey, and you need probably 10 other really good players.
Well, you still need some good defense, defense, and a solid goaltender.
Right.
You brought up baseball. Mike Trout, he has no hope in hell winning a World Series in Anaheim.
Yeah, he's got there's Mike Trout. There's Mike Trout.
Didn't win anything.
You've got Ohtani, who's a pitcher and a slugger in one. You've got Anthony Rendon, who helped Washington win a World Series. They just signed Noah Syndergaard. All that thing, and Los Angeles could finish in fourth place in their division. That's the whole point. It's like you can have two or three really good players. You can have Leon Draisaitl and Connor McDavid, and if you don't have a goaltender and if you don't have good defense, your team is not going to make the playoffs, or your team is going to be a one and out. That's the whole thing with the Leafs right now. I think that the group that they have is good. Is it good enough to advance? Is it good enough to take a run? We don't know yet. I need to be convinced if they can shut things down and score at a similar level than they have during the regular season, then they have an opportunity to advance. But I don't know whether that's going to be the case, and we'll see. We'll find out at this time next month how successful they're going to be.
I guess Bryce Harper could have won a World Series. He could have won a World Series, but left. That's amazing. Look, what Matthews is doing is, it's terrific, and he's doing what he's doing because he has a pretty capable 1A feeding him and delivering the goods that Matthews needs to to score with, right? So it'll be interesting to see how things evolve as we get closer to the playoffs. The question we'll be asking down the stretch here is, with this group the way it is, with what it has, and its positive attributes and its shortcomings, how can this group figure it out and actually win a series, win two series, and make some bloody damage happen in the playoffs without without the expectation the opposition's just going to fold like a cheap tent. To this point, no team that's faced the Leafs in the playoffs has folded like a cheap tent. The only team that has folded like a cheap tent is, at least last year, what was the Maple Leafs. But you know what? I mean, things could be a lot worse than they are right now. I'm still not feeling like this team is playing playoff type hockey. Maybe no team out there is at this point, and that'll just be a switch that's flipped after game 82, when the lights get brighter and the ice gets tighter, and you're basically on a timer. Last word to you, Michael.
This team is close to a 700 winning percentage.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, they have 93 points right now, and there's still doubt, and there will still be doubt until you see this team perform in the postseason.
But a lot of teams have big points this year. It's not just the Maple Leafs. Carolina's 198 points, Rangers 93, Pittsburgh 92, Leafs 93, Florida 102. Talk about a team that I believe is smoke and all smoke and mirrors, right? I think it's Florida, even more so than the Maple Leafs. But this isn't the Panthers combo, right? So,
do they have one?
I'm sure there's got to be one.
No, I don't.
No, you don't think so?
No.
Sorry, Mike, I cut you off. Did you want to add anything, or do you want to?
No. I just tomorrow night against the Tampa Bay Lightning, Tuesday night back-to-back against Florida. They probably start Campbell against Tampa Bay because that's the bigger of the two games. I'm not saying that they're signing off on first place in the division, but pretty much I think they think that the way Florida's playing right now, they're out of reach. Now it's who can finish in second and who do they face. And if they finish in third or if they finish in the wild card, they'll be on the road for game 1 and 2 and game 7. So the last 14 games will be consequential for the Toronto Maple Leafs.
Yeah, absolutely. No doubt. OG's Conference, thank you so much for all of your participation in the project. It means a lot to us. Keep coming back. Stay with us. Just so much more to discuss when it comes to the Maple Brothers. And, Mike and I will provide what you need. With that said, it's time to move on with the rest of the day. For Mike, I'm Norm. Have a good one. Talk to you soon.